Bemidbar, or Numbers 21 through 22. And the sovereign of Arad, the Canaanite who dwelt in the south, heard that Israel was coming on their way to Atharim, and he fought against Israel and took some of them captive. Then Israel made a vow to YHVH and said, "If you deliver this people into my hand indeed, then I shall put their cities under the ban." And YHVH listened to the voice of Israel and gave up the Canaanites, and they put them and their cities under the ban. So the name of that place was called Hormah. And they departed from Mount Hor by the way of the Sea of Reeds to go around the land of Edom. But the being of the people grew impatient because of the way, and the people spoke against Elohim and against Moshe. "Why have you brought us up out of Mitzrayim to die in the wilderness? For there's no food and no water, and our being loathes this light bread." And YHVH sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. Then the people came to Moshe and said, "We've sinned, for we've spoken against YHVH and against you. Pray to YHVH to take away the serpents from us." So Moshe prayed on behalf of the people, and YHVH said to Moshe, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole. And it shall be that everyone who is bitten when he looks at it shall live." So Moshe made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole, and it came to be, if the serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. And the children of Israel set out and camped in Oboth. And they departed from Oboth and camped at YHVH in the wilderness, which is east of Moab, toward sunrise. From there they set out and camped at the Wadi Zered. From there they set out and camped on the other side of the Arnon, which is in the wilderness that extends from the border of the Amorites, for Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore it said in the book of the battles of YHVH, "Waheb in Suphah, the Wadi Arnon," and the slope of the wadi that turns aside to the dwelling of Ar, and it lies on the border of Moab. And from there on to Beer, which is the well where YHVH said to Moshe, "Gather the people and let me give them water." Israel then sang this song: "Spring up, O well, sing to it, a well the leaders sank, which the nobles of the people dug with their staves by the word of the inscriber." Then, from the wilderness on to Mattanah, from Mattanah to Nahaliel, from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth in the valley that is in the country of Moab to the top of Pisgah, which looks down on the wasteland. And Israel sent messengers to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, saying, "Let me pass through your land. We shall not turn off into the fields or the vineyards. We shall not drink water from the wells, but go by the sovereign's highway until we've passed over your border." But Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his border. So Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel in the wilderness, and he came to Yahatz and fought against Israel. And Israel struck him with the edge of the sword and took possession of his land from the Arnon to the Yabok, as far as the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon and in all its villages. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the sovereign of the Amorites, who had fought against the former sovereign of Moab and had taken all his land from his hand as far as the Arnon. That is why those who speak in Proverbs say, "Come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and established." For fire went out from Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It consumed Ar of Moab, the masters of the heights of Arnon. Woe to you, Moab! You have perished, O people of Chemosh. He has given his sons as fugitives and his daughters into captivity to Sihon, the sovereign of the Amorites. Then we shot them. Heshbon is perished as far as Dibon, and we laid waste as far as Nophah, which reaches to Medeba. So Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites. And Moshe sent out to spy Yazer, and they took its villages and drove out the Amorites who were there, and turned and went up by the way to Bashan. And Og, sovereign of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And YHVH said to Moshe, "Do not fear him, for I have given him into your hand with all his people and his land, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwelled at Heshbon." And they struck him, and his sons, and all his people, until no remnant was left to him, and they took possession of his land. Chapter 22. And the children of Israel set out and camped in the desert plains of Moab, beyond the Yarden of Jericho. And Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was in dread because of the children of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this company is licking up all that is around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field." Now Balak, son of Zippor, was sovereign of the Moabites at that time. And he sent messengers to Bilam, son of Beor, at Pethar, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "See, a people has come from Mitzrayim. See, they've covered the surface of the land and are settling next to me. And now please come at once, curse this people for me. They're too strong for me. It might be that I strike them and drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian left with the fees for divination in their hand, and they came to Bilam and spoke the words of Balak to him. And he said, "Spend the night here, and I shall bring back word to you as YHVH speaks to me." So the heads of Moab stayed with Bilam. And Elohim came to Bilam and said, "Who are these men with you?" And Bilam said to Elohim, "Balak, son of Zippor, sovereign of Moab, has sent to me, saying, 'See, a people has come out of Mitzrayim and cover the surface of the land, and come now and curse them for me. It might be that I'm able to fight against them and drive them out.' And Elohim said to Bilam, 'Do not go with them. You do not curse the people, for they are blessed.' And Bilam rose in the morning and said to the heads of Balak, 'Go back to your land, for YHVH has refused to allow me to go with you.' And the heads of Moab arose and went to Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. Then Balak again sent heads more numerous and more esteemed than they. And when they came to Bilam and said to him, This is what Balak, son of Zippor, said, Do not be withheld from coming to me, please, for I esteem you very greatly, and whatever you say to me I do. Therefore, please come, curse these people for me. And Bilam answered and said to the servants of Balak, Though Balak were to give me his house filled with silver and gold, I'm unable to go beyond the word of YHVH my Elohim, to do less or more. And now please, you also stay here tonight, and let me find out what more YHVH says to me. And Elohim came to Bilam at night and said to him, If the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you do. And Bilam rose in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the heads of Moab. But the displeasure of Elohim burned because he went, and the messenger of YHVH stationed himself in the way as an adversary against him. And he was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. And the donkey saw the messenger of YHVH standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Bilam struck the donkey to turn her back on the way. Then the messenger of YHVH stood in a narrow passage between the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. And when the donkey saw the messenger of YHVH, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Bilam's foot against the wall, so he struck her again. And the messenger of YHVH went further and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn aside, right or left. And when the donkey saw the messenger of YHVH, she lay down under Bilam. So Bilam's displeasure burned, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then YHVH opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Bilam, What have I done to you that you've stricken me these 3 times? And Bilam said to the donkey, Because you've mocked me. I wish there was a sword in my hand, for I would have killed you by now. And the donkey said to Bilam, Am I not your donkey on which you've ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever known to do so to you? And he said, No. Then YHVH opened Bilam's eyes, and he saw the messenger of YHVH standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell on his face. And the messenger of YHVH said to him, Why have you struck your donkey 3 times? See, I've come out to stand against you, because your way is reckless before me. And the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, I certainly would have killed you by now, and let her live. And Bilam said to the messenger of YHVH, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me. And now if evil is in your eyes, let me turn back. And the messenger of YHVH said to Bilam, Go with the men, but only the word that I speak to you, that you speak. Bilam then went with the heads of Balak. And when Balak heard that Bilam was coming, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the border of Anan, which was in the extremity of the border. And Balak said to Bilam, Did I not urgently send to you, calling for you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to esteem you? And Bilam said to Balak, See, I have come to you. Now, Am I at all able to say somewhat? The word that Elohim puts in my mouth, that I speak. And Bilam went with Balak, and they came to Kerioth Hutzah. And Balak slaughtered cattle and sheep, and he sent some to Bilam and to the heads who were with him. And it came to be in the morning that Balak took Bilam and brought him up to the high places of Baal. And from there he saw the extremity of the camp.